G'day everyone, welcome back to another weekly tipping video on the channel. You're here for my round 14 tips of the 2023 AFL season. Quite literally, round 13 has just finished, and because of the Thursday game coming up, straight into the tips, so there's no time to just be wasting my time. If you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, that'd be heavily appreciated. And let's kick it off with how I went last week. So my tips from round 13, oh my goodness, it was absolutely pathetic. 2 out of 8. Very inconsistent my tipping this year. One week it can look beautiful, the other week it can just look shambolic, and it certainly was last week. Started off with tipping the Swans, just felt it at home, and you know, they start to now chalk together some good wins. They're historically a good team after the bye, but they just don't look like it at the moment. They just look terrible with ball in hand, and they weren't able to combat the Saints' defensive efforts and their pressure. St Kilda too good, they pick up the chocolates on that Thursday night game. Then went for the risky tip. Now I did head into this game thinking Port Adelaide should win this game, had good belief in them, but I just felt like going against grain with the Bulldogs. They've been a little bit off with their efficiency, felt they would be able to click this game, and probably up to half time they were able to, but yeah, they just couldn't withstand Port Adelaide's ball movement throughout the whole duration of the game. Went with the Lions, and honestly, it didn't really cross my mind to tip Hawthorn for the upset here. I just felt, you got to back in the Lions. Top 4 looking team this year, but it's something with them at the MCG. They look awful there, and Hawks, well, just an exciting brand they did show on Saturday afternoon with those forward hand passes, and the ball movement was superb with a few star midfielder performances. Plenty of young guns on that Hawks side. Went with the easy tip, of course, at Adelaide. And yeah, backed in Fremantle, where I saw a lot of people in the comments said, I reckon the Tigers get this one done, which was fair enough. And to be honest, the Tigers turned up pretty much from minute one. Their pressure, their brand, their turnover game was superb. Whilst Freo obviously grew as the game went on, but pretty much lost that game in the first half. Really slow out of the blocks. Went with a risky tip with North Melbourne. Felt they were due for a win, but maybe it isn't to be at the moment, as the Giants flexed their muscles in the second half and just slotted home multiple goals in a row in that second half to pick up the chocolates in Tassie. And of course did tip Essendon. Just couldn't back in the Blues at the moment. They are mentally shot at the moment. They just don't know how to win. And I feel like Essendon are really up and about. And honestly, a good chance for perhaps, don't get me wrong, top 4 with the easy fixture they do have during the remainder of the season. And the final tip, what did I say last week? I tipped the D's twice with this matchup last year, got them wrong. I'll tip Collingwood, go on the safe tip, I bet you I get it wrong. They lose. Come on, Pies, you're stitching me up. But nah, the D's were just superb. Their defensive efforts and just they look so well in control, and their forward half time in their forward half was brilliant. A little bit inaccurate in front of goal, but yeah, they just defended the Pies ball movement superbly. They played to their terms, and yeah, it was just a really, really good win. Solid off the turnover, the D's. But yeah, for me, pathetic week was 2 out of 8. Hopefully we can improve heading into round 14. So, ladies and gentlemen, round 14 kicks us off with 2 cracking games on your Thursday and Friday night. First one here, Port Adelaide versus the Geelong 𝐓𝐴𝐶𝐞 at Adelaide Oval. This is a hard one. I just think Geelong, just can't write them off. I know the poor losses they've had this year. It's hard to tell if they're going to pick up a result or not, because if you back them in, they can play awful. Whilst the other week, they look like a top 4 team. So, yeah, they're a team not to write off with this game, even though it is at probably the hardest place and the hardest team to verse at in AFL football at the moment. Port Adelaide, prime time lights at Adelaide Oval. Just the venue alone, the form that Port Adelaide are in, are looking like the pretty convincing tip for me right off the bat. Their ball movement is probably one of the best in the competition at the moment. They defend so well as a back 6. Their transition is really good. They've got some great foot users and ball users in their back half. Their forward half, obviously they're the top forward half in the competition. They just keep the ball in that area of the ground so well. I'm very good at turning over the ball, and they just generate a lot of scores. I think they're one of the top ranked teams in the comp for score launches as well. So they're a great side off the turnover. They're just looking great within every aspect of their list. But I asked the question last week, and I'll say it again, maybe are they due for a loss? I felt the Bulldogs were able to, put on a bit of a decent score up till half time. And I just think with Geelong, they're always a team that defends really well, and they work well as a whole group. So I feel like they're sort of match Port Adelaide in that aspect, where I feel like head-to-head and matchups-wise, they can really match them in the contest. And they do have key inclusions, the Cats. Pretty sure Dangerfield is returning. Holmes and Duncan, I'm pretty sure, are a good chance to come back in. So with those key inclusions, and I have been saying on the channel the past few weeks, without Dangerfield there, shelve themselves in the midfield, Dangerfield, fully fit, raring to go, will be a massive inclusion in their midfield, because, yeah, yeah, Port Adelaide are bossing it in the contested game. So I feel like if Geelong can match that, and of course you've got the star forwards of Jeremy Cameron and Hawkins down there, if they can really hit the scoreboard and they just get enough output from their role plays, which they're really able to do, the Cats, I like them for the tip here. So, yeah, with that said, it's a really, really tricky one to tip. I don't know what Geelong side will turn up, but I feel like I'm stitching Port Adelaide up here a bit. I haven't tipped them now for a little bit, even though I've loved watching them play, but I just feel like they're 10 wins in a row. Maybe it's, it's now time for their bubble to be burst just for an odd week or two, because Geelong, with the key ins they're getting in, they play Adelaide Oval pretty well. In that regard, they beat Port Adelaide at this venue last year when they were in a little bit of form. With the key inclusions I have, with how they played also the other week ago, where they just look so strong defensively, I'll back in Geelong. Hard game to tip. Do like Port Adelaide, but I'm going to be going with the upset here of Geelong. And to be honest, I think neutral-wise, I don't think this will necessarily be an upset if Geelong do win. I think this could be a bit of a 50-50 contest, but I just think the Cats, key inclusions, I think they can match Port Adelaide in the contest. They'll get it done for your Thursday night footy, and they will win. Yeah, a bit of a close game. We'll go Geelong by 10 points. Next game here, Friday night footy. We do have the Brisbane Lions taking on the Sydney Swans at the Gabba. Prior to the start of the season, you'd be looking at this fixture and you're like, hey, this is a pretty tasty one. Two top 4, top 8 quality teams covered at it, but yeah, how we've been going this year, we do not look like a top 8 team at all, so this could be an absolute massacre, given the Lions are generally really good, especially with the bounce-back games at the Gabba. They look like a shell of themselves a little bit interstate, especially at the MCG, but at the Gabba, they do play their forward half brand so exceptionally well. But look, a little bit of bias coming from me, but I won't be surprised if the Swans can turn it up a bit. A bit lower expectations. Last time these two sides played at this particular venue was the start of the 2021 season. The Swans got a big upset win, but I just feel like if the Swans are able to win, I just have to really try and match the Lions in the contested game. But most importantly, they have to take the game on more. Their ball movement has to be what it has been the last few years or so. Just really, really good in the corridor and able to execute off the turnover, which they were able to do a little bit last year against the good quality opponents. But quite simply, the Swans haven't been in a top 8 side this year. They're looking really, really bad, their ball movement. Their contested game is so inconsistent, but especially they cannot run out a full 4-quarter good enough performance. So yeah, for me, the Lions should be bouncing back with a win here. They just have a stronger team on paper at the moment, higher in form. The Swans are just mentally short at the moment. So with that said, the Lions should pick up a good comfortable win at home here. Maybe the Swans start off strong, and look, I still won't be surprised if we can bring it up to the Lions, but they're just out of form at the moment. They don't look the goods here. Very hard to knock off the Lions at the Gabba. We'll go the Lions to pick up a good win at home by 30 points. Now for the Saturday games, first one here, we got the Giants taking on the Dockers at Giants Stadium. Pretty close game by the looks of it odds-wise. We've got $2 to $1.80, which is a little bit surprising. Maybe I felt Freo could have been a little bit more, but given their loss against the Tigers, it does hurt them a little bit, probably because the main reason obviously being it was wet. They're not very good in the wet, and they're very slow out of the blocks in that first half against the Tigers. They just weren't able to match the intensity of the Tigers' chaos ball and ferocity throughout the whole 4 quarters of that game. But they versed the Giants now, who are off the back of a pretty good win. That should get their confidence up, a win they finally did deserve after, they're now starting to go win-loss with their record. They're playing a really competitive brand, the Giants. They are really strong around the ball, and going inside 50, they just have dangerous targets. Now, I might be wrong, but I think the Giants are an opportunity to get back a few key players by the likes of Sam Taylor and 𝐼𝐴𝐴𝐿𝐼𝐴𝐿 Cumming. I think Daniels is a little bit far away, so if those players were to come in, geez, that'd be a really good option to tip here. But yeah, just head-to-head wise, could be a really close game here. I think the Giants at home have been pretty strong this year. You've had to really grind down the Giants to pick up a result at the particular venue. They've been close games and actually good quality games of footy, so I think off the bat, this game should be close. The Dockers, I just have good belief they will bounce back and able to hit their straps with their good ball movement. They've been defending a lot better the past few weeks. They should get back Darcy, I'm pretty sure, and also Jago O'Meara from suspension. So a bit more bigger bodies into their lineup, which should match with the Giants' intensity and size around the ball too. So I'll go the Dockers for this one. I think it will be close. Dockers pick up a cracking win at the Giants Stadium, and we'll go Freo by 7 points. Next game here, we got the Tigers taking on the Saints at the MCG. Really good looking matchup here. The Saints up and about with a much needed win. They're a little bit out of form, but yeah, just to pick up a really good win of playing their brand. Really strong defence, and I thought their pressure was superb. They were able to really execute off the turnover, force turnovers against Sydney, and really swallow them around the ball and restrict their ball movement. Got a really solid win, but maybe just I still have concerns and questions about their ability to score. Maybe that's a bit of a long-term thought, not necessarily versing the Tigers here for this clash. But yeah, just overall, their ability to score can be a little bit unconvincing at times. And I thought the Tigers defensively were pretty good last week against Fremantle. You know, 𝐓𝐿𝐴TON had a superb game. You know, they were really strong in the air last week. So yeah, I feel like if the Saints are to win this one, they just got to try and bring their pressure again and try and match the Tigers' ferocity around the ball. I think that's how you got to knock off the Tigers this year. Just try and hit them off the turnover and just, yeah, really match the Tigers around the ball and their intensity. They just got good belief at the moment, Richmond. It feels like it's a bit of a fresh start, the situation they are in, you know, on and off the field with 𝐓𝐴ndrew 𝐕𝐷𝐿𝐷 with the new coach. There's, you know, good signs and good vibes that apparently he could be an opportunity just to be the full-term coach, not even need to look for a replacement. So I feel like the synergy, the connection, and they're starting now to build some consistency. And honestly, their brand and their execution is looking quite good as of late, and I still don't mind them as a bit of an opportunity to push up the ladder heading into the second half of the year and generally still be a decent chance for finals. You know, they're sitting around 2 odd games outside the 8, but you know, you've got the likes of the Bulldogs and a few teams that are a little bit out of form. So yeah, I am liking the Tigers at the moment. So because of that, I actually might go with Richmond with this tip. Do like the Saints, they defend really well behind the ball, but I just like the Tigers at the moment. They're in some good form as of late, in good spirits, playing at the G2, where they play probably their best footy. We'll go Richmond for this one at home. I think it will be a close game, maybe a bit of a low scoring one, but I think it will be heavy in the contest. We'll go a bit of a close one, Richmond by 9 points. Now for the Sunday games, we've just got the 6 games this round, so just the 2 on your Sunday. The Blues versus Gold Coast at the MCG, really interesting one. You've got a team that's horrifically out of form versus a team that is in some form, coming off a bye, you know, fully refreshed, etc. But it is the Suns. Oh, you still don't know about them in the second half of the year historically. Fair enough that the Blues are favourites in this game just because it is at the MCG, and we're still waiting week by week. Are they going to get, you know, that win? Are they going to get things clicking after just a horrific patch of form they're in? You know, over 5 losses in a row they've had now. They're just looking terrible with their ball movement, and their execution is really bad. They tried to play a bit more offensively last time out against the Dons, but they just couldn't execute with that final kick inside 50. And versing the Suns, where, you know, they easily match Carlton, I feel, in the contested and clearance game, and their just ball movement as of late is looking a lot better than the Blues going inside 50. You know, King's been really promising as of late. Down defensively, Collins and Ballard, a really good key defensive duo as of late as well. And I just like to look at their midfield. And, you know, it's sort of like the situation, you have to see it until you believe it, where the Suns look like an actual genuine team to play well interstate and make a charge for finals. But yeah, I am a bit of a firm believer with the Suns. Fair enough, they are not the favourites for this game. We're still expecting the Blues to bounce back. But just because of what I've stated, the Blues are just mentally shot at the moment. I feel this is a good opportunity to for the Suns to knock off the Blues at a tough venue where they do not play historically the greatest at the MCG, and just knocking off while they are down. So yeah, I'm backing the Suns for this one. Yeah, it'll probably should be favourites just given form wise, but yeah, Gold Coast pick up this win, where again you can't trust them in the MCG too much, but I'll just back them in given they are the better playing side at the moment. Suns to pick up this much needed win interstate. We'll go Gold Coast by probably a bit of a close game, Suns by 16. And for the final game of the round here, we do have North Melbourne taking on the Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium, 4:40 PM. You know, I always just look at these games versus North and be like, yeah, you know, Bulldogs or the opposition who are playing North Melbourne, easy tip. But I feel like North, as of late and throughout this season, you can't be too quick to write them off with tips. I did that against when they played the Dons, and honestly, North should have won that game. They've been at Marvel Stadium as of late, a really good side, and yeah, you know, they're still one of the bottom ranked teams in the competition. They're obviously going to have poor patches of games. We saw that against the Giants in that second half, but maybe they do lift for this one against the Doggies, who, yeah, are slightly out of form. I don't like the Bulldogs at the moment when they are going in their forward half, but I still like their upside with the talent on their list. But defensively, they have been shocking, the Bulldogs, so Yeah, I feel a bit too naughty if I'd actually back in North Melbourne here to pick up a huge upset. I feel like North, with their clearance and contested game, they can really match the Bulldogs. But as I've said, you probably still do back in the Bulldogs just for the upside they do have with their list. And you feel like, you know, they should be back in the winner's circle eventually, because they've been unfortunate. They just haven't been good when going inside 50. But their defensive transition is probably back to the worst from last year. They've been terrible defensively, and I feel like North are always one of those teams that can cause a bit of chaos. They can always be the team that can pepper an opposition with a few goals in a row and show really good belief. But to pick up a win against the Bulldogs, who are probably going to be fired up a bit after going now 3 losses in a row, it may be a little bit of a bridge too far. So yeah, just because of that, I'll back in the safe option with the Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium. So yeah, still like North, but I'll go safe with the Bulldogs. Pick up this result on your last game of round 14, and they'll get it done for the final game of the round by maybe a bit of a close one, but the Doggies run away with the Bulldogs by 22 points. So over on there were my tips for round 14 of the 2023 AFL season. Just the 6 games this round, because there are 6 teams with the bye. They will be the exact same heading into next week. If you wanted to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. That'll be much appreciated. And until next time, I will talk to you later. See you later, fellas.